Hello, this is my first time going live on YouTube. Just put my finger over the camera. Yeah, listen, what I wanted to talk about tonight is the Supreme Court. I was talking on Twitter with Brian Lilly today, a gentleman who I agree with on a lot of things, particularly defunding the CBC, which needs to happen. Anyways, uh, they were referring to an article, I believe, by Andrew Lawton, which essentially had to do with um, which had to do with making our court more political in Canada, sort of like it is down in the States. So currently in Canada, courts uh, are officially nonpartisan, just like they are in the States. However, we don't have this super hyper political um, hyper-political situation regarding the confirmation hearings and fighting elections almost solely it seems sometimes to get justices in place, and I think that's a good thing in Canada. I mean, I even know well, at least one of the justices personally, and I could take a guess as his political views, but it's never been totally outright. I don't think ever was a card carrying member of any party. And I think it should stay that way. Uh, I understand some of the arguments made by Mr. Lilly, and they're fair. Not enough Canadians really know what's going on in our court. Our court is fairly progressive, even despite the appointments made by Stephen Harper. And some of their decisions certainly I don't like, but the court still has the respect of the bar. I think, at least Canada wide. I'm a fairly conservative gentleman, and currently I trust the court. Uh, like I said, there's some recent decisions that I disagree with. Trinity Western University, very tricky territory. The Como beer decision, definitely I disagree with that one. However, I still think the court has retained its integrity in a way that the courts down in the States have not done. When we look at the incredible pall of politics that lies over the U.S. court. Uh, I'm thinking in particular about Justice Clarence Thomas's confirmation, which led to the Anita Hill scandal. He almost didn't get confirmed. It was a huge mess. Thomas has had no respect for the press ever since that day, almost 30 years ago. And I just asked myself, do we really want that? Especially in a country where the media is dominated by government and has a distinctive bent to it. So I guess my advice to Brian is be careful what you wish for, because having a court that is suddenly hyper partisan as opposed to passively partisan in the background, that's a sword that cuts both ways. And when we think of, imagine an Anita Hill type situation, which was being cheerled by the CBC in Canada, or a Sonia Sotomayor situation, which was being totally boosted by the CBC. A real lightweight justice, um, who suddenly has the media on their back, or a solid justice that is fighting the media every inch of the way. And the net effect, which is the real concern for me, primarily as a lawyer, secondarily as a citizen, is the concern with the integrity of the judiciary. So I don't want the situation where our Supreme Court is split under markedly partisan lines. And is that duplicitous of me to say that when you could argue, as the Mr. Lilly does, that it's already an instrument of the Laurentian elites. So it's already underground. It's already partisan in its own way without saying it. Well, I think that's fine. I think that's better. Um, I think it's better not knowing what parties these people, the judges, align themselves with, or are coming from. And the reason for that is when I look at their decisions, I'm not looking at it and saying, oh, Russell Brown, he's clearly a conservative. I'm just going to disregard his opinion. Or Richard Wagner, he's Wagner, however you want to say it. He's, Harper appointed him, but in 1970, he worked for the NDP. And now I'm going to color his whole judgment with that, which is the situation that currently is in place in the States, where everything is just so partisan. And frankly, from a lawyer's point of view, you look at those decisions through that partisan lens, and it becomes less of a legal decision. It becomes a political decision. You see the imprint of certain of these political advocacy groups in America on the court, recovering from the Warren court, so to speak, with the right wingers pushing after Roe v. Wade, wanting to retake the court. And frankly, yeah, in my opinion, it's devalued the court to an extent, owing to the fact that the court is not just about lawyers arguing the law. It's about political parties. It's about advocacy. And is the judiciary still independent at that point? When we have people like Elena Kagan, who has never really practiced law, or I think has practiced for 3 years, was never a judge, never a super distinguished lawyer to my knowledge. She's sitting on the highest court of the land for one purpose only, which is to be healthy for many years and push Democrat partisan law on the land. So that's what I want to avoid for Canada. If it means that we have to take a little bit of this Laurentian elite attitude, and we got to live with that and sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Frankly, even as a conservative, I'm fine with it. Because, first of all, I'm not sure how accurate that characterization is by Mr. Lilly. And I mean, I'm thinking particularly of someone like Russell Brown, who's appointed from Alberta, who practiced in Edmonton for, call it, 10 years, who was a law prof for 10 years. I don't think he fits into the category of Laurentian elite. He certainly doesn't fit into a category of conservative or of liberal or NDP or Republican. And, maybe you can't say that about every justice. But the fact of the matter is that that's a good thing, that we can't just put an R or a D next to the name of the judges in Canada yet. And I hope it stays that way. It's not perfect. There's conflict. You can tell even as I'm thinking this through, unscripted. I'm running across my own conflicts, which is okay. That's part of the process. So if you have anything you want to bring to my attention, please leave a comment or feel free to email me, Twitter me at seanvanderlee, seanvanderlee. And thanks for watching. Have a great night.